Okay, I think 1, 2, 3, 4. We're all here. Is it 4 o'clock?
3:59.
Okay.
So I will unmute everyone, and then you're good to go when you're ready.
Okay, well, welcome everyone. It's good to see you all. I'd like to call the meeting to order. You've had a chance to see the agenda. So are there any additions to the agenda?
Now,
Seeing none.
to the clerk.
Excuse me?
There were no additions submitted to the clerk.
Okay. Then is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved, Poitras.
Second, Wieland.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And Chair, this is Regina Garza. I would just advise that you do a roll call vote given the virtual nature of this meeting. And I know the clerk, Madam Clerk, can do that for you.
Okay. Madam Clerk, would you please do a roll call vote for the agenda?
Call for the vote. Director Poitras,
Yes.
Director Siebert, Director Whelan,
Yes.
and Chairman O'Kane.
Yes.
And who am I missing? Oh, and Director Gallegos.
Here.
Oh, passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you. For the Pledge of Allegiance, Mr. Poitras, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Absolutely. Ready, salute. Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kind of went off there for a second.
Yeah.
Next, we have the public comments section of the agenda for the first 15 minutes. We take public comment from anyone who wishes to speak on an item that is not on the agenda. Could I take this opportunity to introduce you to Jim Core, who is the new Executive Director of the Madera County Arts Council. And he will now be probably joining us as an audience member of our meeting. So welcome, Jim.
Thanks, everybody.
Hi, Jim.
Welcome.
Okay, under public session, we have item 5A, which is consideration of approval of the minutes from the January 27th board meeting. Is there a motion for approval?
Madam Chair, I have just one correction that needs to be
Okay.
made. It's under the call to order attendee name. It says Dr. Julia O'Kane. So I think you only supposed, unless Julia is your middle name.
No, my parents were more creative.
Okay. So maybe strike one of those Julias.
Okay. Any other corrections? Okay, now is there a motion to approve the minutes?
With that change? Yes, I'll make a motion with that change.
Okay, is there a second? Second. There's been a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, would you please poll the board for their vote?
I call for the vote. Director Poitras,
Yes.
Director Gallegos. CC, you need to unmute for the vote. Is it a yay or a nay?
Yes.
Okay. Director
I'm
Whelan,
Yes.
Director Siebert, Director Poitras,
Yes.
and Director O'Kane.
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you.
The record should
Next,
indicate
we
that
have
this is-
item 5B, which is a presentation of the Madera County Arts Authority Treasurer's Report. Robert has sent that out for everyone to look at. So Robert, do you have any comments about that report?
The report is very straightforward. We have, we're very, as everybody can see, we're very cost conscious with no expenses, but income of 111,000 or which agency contributions. So There's been no financial activity other than the contributions. So that's my report.
I
Any
am
questions?
curious. I am curious as to how we got to that rather odd number of 111,000 and change. Interest? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's all of 0.15%. So,
Okay.
cool.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Poitras. We'll just accept that report from you unless there are any other questions or comments. Okay, the report is accepted. We're here to talk about really item number 6, which is next steps today. We haven't met in several months due to mostly the pandemic and the aftermath of all of that. And everyone's been very busy. When we last met, we were considering the services of a consultant, and at that time decided that it was probably not the best time to make that decision, and so we set that aside. So that is still out there. A lot has happened in the ensuing months, and so I wanted to just get us together, find out how everybody's doing in your own agencies and what kind of work you might have been doing related to our downtown project, or any thinking you all have done related to the Civic Center project. Before we have that discussion, I just wanted to remind us of our mission, which is to cooperatively provide for the development of an arts center in the city of Madera, service the entire county of Madera, and to develop a mechanism for its ongoing operation and maintenance. We had intended to use a consultant to help us come to grips with exactly what it would mean to develop an arts center in Madera and how we might go about funding that process. A vision has been completed. That was done in like 2018. Major work needs to be done, though, in terms of thinking about the physical environment of downtown, where we are in terms of a community and where we need to go and who needs to be involved in that process. And then, of course, we have there's a financing issue that needs to be taken care of. So that's just to bring us back to where we are today. So I'd like to open it up for your thoughts about where you are in your part of the county of Madera and what kinds of things are happening for you.
Madam Chair, I'll go ahead and start. I just, a couple of things that the county was involved in were two particular items. One was courthouse park renovation, as well as the building of a new Hall of Justice, which would allow our probation department as well as our district attorney's office to vacate the old property on Yosemite. And starting out with the courthouse park renovation, which if we looked at any type of cultural arts type improvement to downtown, that would be a major part of it. We applied for a grant last year to, which was a significant amount of money. We did not get the grant. We were not awarded the grant. Others received that opportunity. However, the next time that the cycle rolls around, we're going to be applying for it. Also, we do have the money to tear down the annex, the jail annex, but you know, we're looking at it. It should be all part of that particular project. You know, the renovation, the removal of the annex, and any improvements. So that's where we are in terms of the park. In regards to the Hall of Justice, we are moving forward with the planning for that construction. It's going to be about a $26 million project. And we're looking probably 2022 or 2023 as far as the completion of that, the Hall of Justice, which would allow, again, those, our DA and our probation department to move in there, which would vacate the old Lincoln School and allow for something else to happen there. So that's a update from the county. I'll entertain any questions.
You've used the phrase Hall of Justice. Is that what you plan on ultimately calling it?
That's how I've heard it being referred to. I mean, I've always thought as a courthouse as a Hall of Justice, but I guess the planning for justice occurs in the district attorney's office. I don't know. Our chief administrative officer is going to approach the mic and probably elaborate more.
Congratulations on the new job, I think.
Goes back quite a while into the past in terms of the planning of that project. Not quite sure where they came up with the term Hall of Justice, but that's what it's been referred to all along. Superman and the Justice League are not going to reside there, but probation and the district attorney's office will, and it'll be a 3-story building. So,
the reason I asked the question is because I agree with Mr. Poitras. Hall of Justice is typically a term referring to courthouse where hope justice is meted out. And secondly, given what's going on in this country, I'd hate to see the county call building that houses one side of the criminal legal issues Hall of Justice. Usually it takes two sides to come.
I would agree with that. So we'll have to look and see. I don't know that there's anything literally set in the cornerstone in terms of the name of the building, but I'm sure that's something we can deal with once the contract to go forward is signed, the bonds to support that project. We will close on those this week. So,
Good.
Mhm.
Glad you're making progress.
right across the street from the existing courthouse.
To the south on the other side of the garage.
Mhm. Mhm.
Used to be.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay,
Farm out.
thank you.
That's all I have to add.
Great. Cece, can you give us a little update about what the building is going on downtown and the Caltrans and
I can.
anything positive?
I just texted my engineer Keith Helsberg, who is going to get on Zoom to give us a little update on Yosemite. We also are having a council meeting and a workshop the first Wednesday in August to kind of brief us on downtown. The veteran facility had a little bump in the road. We had to do some undergrounding that the city had to come up with a few $100,000 to get that taken care of for the project manager to start working on those facilities, the veteran and the low income. So we're going to wait for Keith. He has an update on a bill that we're going to probably attach to try to take over Yosemite and the maintenance on it. And that's kind of where we're at right now. He has 2 major projects that and reports that are due at 5 o'clock today. So he says, I need the link. I sent him the link. So I said I would just text him when he could get on that he didn't have to sit and get some work done.
Okay, we can wait and we can go on and come back when he
Sure.
when he gets here. I thought I heard something. No? Yeah, we can come back when he comes on, okay? So
Okay.
just let us know if we don't see him
Sounds
pop
good.
up.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, Mr. Seibert, how are things in the school district?
I'm sorry, you'll need to talk directly into you have to talk directly into your mic or she's not going to be able to hear you.
Okay, now.
Now it works, huh? Does it work?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the school district, We did a lot of work last year planning for this coming year, but with the coronavirus, all that has been set aside. So all the other stuff we have to do. Now we got to open up a distance learning. It's going to hurt a lot of students. The students that are the furthest behind will be hurt the worst. And we have a lot of students, 7% of students that don't even have internet, have no access to the education. So it's not good. The school board voted on the arts project to give you the, honor the money that we gave you, GPA earlier, but they said they don't want to fund any more money at all, so that's pretty definite. So that's where the school board is.
What does the theater look like at the new school?
The last time I was in it, they're still working on it, so it's not finished yet.
Oh,
So,
okay.
but you can take a tour over there. You can always line up a tour,
Okay.
but everything's looking pretty good over there.
Mm-hmm.
So part of the campus is open, ready to open for the students to come in, but they were distance learning, so. But it's an awesome campus.
Yeah, it looks just beautiful.
I spoke yesterday with a family member who teaches for a Houston, Texas school district. They're shut down as well, and they have a significant number. Don't have computers or internet. School district is providing Chromebooks for each. Then possible social distancing, what have you, trying to get the student on a campus. Then they have problems contacting family members and the transportation issue, whole host of things. They don't know how they're going to work that out in Texas.
Yeah, we have a lot of rural homes that don't have internet. We have enough devices for all the students, putting out hotspots in different parts of town so they can get on. But we still have about 7% of the students that don't have access. And then also we've had a lot of students that haven't, last spring, that never did click on. So basically we lost 6 months of learning last year. And then they don't just stop where they left off at, they go backwards usually. So we're trying to address those issues. I'm hoping that they'll, when they open up distance learning, that they'll level the students according to reading levels. So teachers can concentrate on a group of kids at the level where they're at, bring them up. It's a lot harder if you've got 4 different reading levels in a class. Try to meet their needs. A lot of issues we're dealing with. Staff's putting in a lot of overtime. They're all putting in a lot of time getting ready to open up with kids in the classroom. And we were told that we was going to have to open up distance learning. So then now they've had to switch gears. We've added 8 more days this school year for the teachers for training. They know how to do distance learning. Well, hopefully that helps a lot. So yeah, just some parents may not know how to register their kids. They don't have internet. They got to figure that out too, and make sure we can get everybody registered. Because if we don't have kids registered, then we don't get the money. So it's not an easy process.
No, it's probably the most complicated process of all because you have so much to worry about. The school, the kids, the parents, the teachers, the staff. There's a lot.
Yeah, and we're trying to. We did a lot of reorganization in the last year or two. So we hold mentor principals and hold them accountable, so they can mentor make sure the teachers are being mentored, and so they can hold them accountable. So we're going back with distance learning, where the teachers have to be in the classroom, where they have all the good internet, all their equipment that they need. So they have to show up to work every day. That way.
Mr. Seibert, are you using any virtual learning where you bring in teaching experts in particular areas to do part of classes in the schools?
Well, I would like them to specialize. Like if you go to mastery in K3, the kids at a certain grade level, make sure they know how to teach that level, and bring the kids up as they master a level, you go to the next level. So we're going to spend a lot of time training teachers how to use the distance learning. And we're not bringing in outside, but we're trying to train our own people. And we're looking at a career ladder model. What we've done, we've partnered with or hired institutional national school leadership to work with us. And they gave us the best practices of school districts throughout the world and what they're doing to be successful. So we've been studying all those models. So we're trying to change our model to make it more effective. Well, Jill, you've been on that. You know all that stuff.
Yeah. When this is all hopefully behind us, or we've moved to a new dimension,
I think we've done that.
we could begin to think about, I think, where we want to move forward as a community in terms of our revitalization of downtown, and focusing on what we're going to use as a driver to help rebuild the downtown area. Are you folks still on board with thinking about how this might look in the future, and what kinds of things we might be doing now to help us set the stage for that future?
Well, for the last 6 months, it's all been
I know.
overwhelmed by the coronavirus.
Right.
Yeah, we would like to put a new district office downtown, but don't know how that's ever going to happen. If it costs more to build downtown than it does elsewhere. We're looking at acreage to build a K-8 elementary school. So we've got a piece of ground picked out for that, for one of them. And there's enough property in that we could probably build a district office there. But it'd be nice, some way, a miracle way, we could afford to put one downtown and bring the business downtown.
That would certainly be helpful to the central core.
Yeah, well, then people that work at the district office, there's a lot of people, they could walk to lunch and coffee or whatever they wanted and not have to drive.
Councilman Gallegos, let me ask you, what has the city council had time or anything to give any thought about where you might be taking steps in the future? Besides, I know there's 3 big steps, I think, are what you're doing with Main Street and the Caltrans and trying to fix that up, and then building the 2 homes there. Is the city still thinking about how it can be a better looking downtown, and what kinds of things you all would like to see as part of that?
Yes. That's when we had the consultant come out and do a report, took surveys from a lot of different organizations about what we need to do to downtown to revitalize it. We had that grant that we had to use. So that in order to go after projects, we have to have a plan of action, which we have, so that we can apply for grants to get money, supplement money to help put in our CIPs to do some capital improvement projects in the downtown area. So just, Rhonda, I just inboxed you about 10 minutes ago with my engineer's email. He can't get in with it unless he has a certain link. Did you get that message, Rhonda?
Let me pull up my email. I don't have it up here.
I did it off the meeting. You can message people through this Zoom. Because he's still waiting, trying to get in.
Okay.
Okay. Well, if he can't, I know I have trouble getting in myself, so I know what you have to have the link and you have to be invited.
Right. Do you see it, Rhonda, his emails, or do you want me just to give it to you?
I'm not seeing anything on my participant list. And I can look in my email and then send him a link from there.
No, it came off the Zoom inbox. I can just give you his email and then you can send him a link. It's KHELMUTH
But you're
at
gonna have to start over.
Madera.gov.
You need to start over. Okay, go ahead.
KHELMUTH at Madera.gov.
Okay.
Thank you. So on the next city council meeting, the first Wednesday of the month, that would be a time to chime in and maybe give some 2 cents on the Arts Authority, which I will also be when he does the presentation workshop on the downtown and where we're going with that.
Okay. Okay. That's going to be helpful. The other thing I was thinking about was, do we have the right people engaged in the conversation? There's a lot of old people who still think about downtown Madera having the prices and things like that. But there's a whole new, younger group of people, and I don't know that we've tapped into them very well about what it is they would like to see for their future in a civic center area. Does the city or county or even school district have access to groups of people or a way for us to talk to another demographic of people?
We have youth commissioners in the city as council members that sit on a board with YLI,
Uh-huh.
and they're very active. That would be a good group. I know when they were designing the Dharma, they did talk to several groups, and they did mention that in order for them to come to downtown, that would entice them would be like a Chipotle, a Starbucks, and jazz bands that would come in. That would be something that they would like to see, and that would draw them there.
Okay, so you already have gathered up some information about what people. Okay, so that's going to be good to share, I think, with this group, so we can begin to think about whether they're interested in arts and music as a way to tie in, and it sounds like they are.
And then we have Madera Evening Lions, and we have a Leo Club that also does Madera's Got Talent. So we have brought in a lot of talent through all the schools to do like a talent show, and we were amazed at what we had in our community that we had no idea. And I think we're going to be on our 4th year. Well, I'm not sure if we're going to do it now with the COVID-19, but we're usually slotted to do this in September, but no word has been said, which probably will not happen because the Fair Council, so I'm assuming that we probably won't be doing Madera's Got Talent this year also. We could maybe think about doing through a Facebook live stream and our Zoom. So I'm sure we're going to be creative and try to keep it going. It's just going to be a virtual, something different that we're not used to. We're thinking out of the box on all the activities that we're doing in the city of Madera. So we're trying to really do to keep these people going and positive in the contact that's needed.
Yeah, yeah. Over at the Arts Council, we're having the same frustration. Everything related to the arts is group activity. It's for, and reasons to bring the community together. And this puts a real damper on all of that.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
if I may,
Is
this
that
is Nick
Chuck?
Salinas, District 3 Chief of Staff.
Hi, Nick.
I just wanted to piggyback on a comment there. I've actually been in discussions with the manager of the La Quinta Inn, Eric Garza. No relation to our council, Regina Garza, that I know of. But he was stating that before the COVID pandemic, he was planning on having weekly comedy shows, weekly bands coming in and playing there in the lobby, opening that up to the public and providing drinks and snacks. So he'd be a pretty good partner to get into some discussions with. He's also a member of the Madera Downtown Association and seems to be a very involved individual. And if there's a meeting or a conversation that I can help put together, I'd be happy to do so.
Okay, that would be great. That would be great.
I see our engineer has joined us.
Okay,
Director, Mr. Helmworth.
he just needs to unmute himself or somebody. Hi, Keith. Can you unmute?
I did, yes,
There you go.
okay. Okay. I don't use WebEx as much. Anyway, thank you for allowing me to speak this afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I understand you have some questions with regard to the 145 and relinquishment.
Yes.
Okay.
Just wanting to know how that's looking. And
I don't think anything that dramatic has changed about it in the last 6 months to a year or so. There's been more discussions between, I'd say, the MCTC, in particular, Mayor Medellin. He's had some discussions with them, and some of those discussions have focused around the time frame in which it might occur, and that really gets wrapped up into how we would be able to go ahead and fund such a transition. One of the things that's happening, or several things that are happening right now, is Caltrans is working on probably, well, it's at least 2 different projects. One has recently occurred. Anybody who's driven Yosemite Avenue in the last 2 or 3 months has seen an ADA project in place.
Mhm.
That project resulted in new ramps being installed at multiple intersections. Many of the ramps that were already there were they didn't meet ADA standards, so they were all torn out. They installed at the proper slopes, added truncated domes for visually impaired individuals. And that's about where that project went. And then that was a fairly substantial project for Caltrans, but it to some degree pales in comparison to a shop project that's coming up. And that shop project is looks like it's going to be an overlay as well as some other ADA improvements. That's been moving forward for a year and a half to 2 years, probably 2 years or so. But it's been with that project coming up and the one that's occurred, that will get the city closer to a point in which it can successfully take relinquishment. It doesn't mean that we're set up for relinquishment, but it means that we're getting closer to a point that we could accept the project, or accept Yosemite Avenue and have the city own it and be able to do some of the things that the city would like to do with it. Which is a good thing, but that hasn't really progressed to any great degree. I think that if that were proceeding on its own with the completion of those projects in the next couple of years or so, we would be able to go ahead and have more serious discussions. The additional parts of that was if we accepted it, we were looking at, as I understand it, we were looking at the potential for transitional funding. For the city to go ahead and take on full ownership of the highway means that we would take on ownership of the costs moving forward. So a major part of this is the roadway gets improved, so much of the maintenance costs for the near future, for the near term, drops away, but we still have potentially 10 years out where we would be doing other maintenance, and that's a discussion point with Caltrans. That is the way it stood until probably a month or two ago, probably two, we were moving, or Caltrans was moving forward with those things. But since that time, around March or April, the downtown transportation study was completed and approved by the City Council. Caltrans is very well aware that that was going forward. Caltrans provided that grant to go ahead and do that transportation study. Subsequent to that study, we started having conversations with Caltrans about things that they might add to their shop project. That started out initially with safety improvements. Would you like to go ahead and put in some flashers and crosswalks? Talk about the potential for additional street lights. That was progressing, and I felt reasonably confident about that. But even since then, they came back to us to talk about the potential for adding more complete street improvements onto the 145. And by complete street improvements, I'm picturing what they're thinking they want to provide to us, and that is the potential for adding a bike lane onto 145. That's not such an easy thing, but it's part of our discussions right now, and we're looking at bringing that discussion to City Council. But they were thinking about something in terms of complete street improvements, which would have been, say, a bike lane. It would have been constructing bulb outs to move the pedestrians further into the street prior to them actually stepping into the street. That's where they were. But through our conversations with them, when they asked about complete street improvements, knowing that they were potentially going to be removing one travel lane in each direction and taking it down to a one-lane roadway for the purposes of adding bike lanes, we threw out the potential for 45-degree parking along with that. They said they noted that they would be open to 45-degree parking, but only with, as an example, back-in parking spaces. But it's really up in the air right now in terms of what they would do. They've by complete street, it really means complete street. It's cars, it's pedestrians, it's bicycles. So adding all those things in there, the current Yosemite Avenue can't accommodate all those. So doing all of those means that potentially parking on one side of the roadway goes, and we put 45-degree parking on the other side. It could mean that a bike lane doesn't go in, but they know, Caltrans knows that the city wants to maintain the ability for businesses to exist and, in fact, thrive, beyond survive, thrive. They know that we want this for them. So this is an evolving conversation just in the last month or so. That conversation has included the possibility of relinquishment, but that's on a lower level given the staff we're speaking to at Caltrans at the moment. But that conversation is including the steps towards that possibility. Do we go ahead and relinquish the 145 and move the 145 to another location? We've talked about that recently. They wanted to know what we were thinking about in terms of relinquishment. And for us, relinquishment has included discussions that if the 145 went someplace else, it might be moved out to Avenue 17 as a possible bypass around the city. That bypass would jump the Atchison-Topeka Railroad and ultimately jump the Fresno River with a connection back into the 145 further east of the city. A relocation outside the city might include Avenue 12, where the 145 heads up to the Ranchos and potentially bypasses it entirely with another loop around the Ranchos. They've even had a discussion about the possibility of 6th Street being the bypass for the 145. That one was brand new to me. It was a complete surprise, but apparently it's been discussed before in other meetings that I have not been in. I don't know where that type of proposal would go. It would represent 145 Madera Avenue turning to the east at 6th Street and potentially coming back onto the original alignment from 6th to Lake to Yosemite. So those are possibilities. Relinquishment, I'm just going to go ahead and bring an email up here to help remind me of some names that have been discussed recently. I have too many things open, but I will, I think, eventually get there. Maybe not. Oh, there it is. Okay, about a month ago, we were contacted, the city was contacted by State Senator Ana Caballero's office about the potential to adding a relinquishment, a discussion of relinquishment with the city of Madera through an upcoming bill. The bill was focused on another city, but they were thinking about adding the city of Madera in there. So what they did, they asked for a little bit of the history about what had been going on with relinquishment discussions in the city of Madera for the last, well, they didn't know how long, and I knew it had been going for some time. I gave them the history that relinquishment discussions have been going for probably in excess of 20 years or so. It would start up, then fade away for a little bit, start up, then fade away. It started up again about a year and a half ago, and I think it's gotten more traction. Part of that traction probably turned into the downtown transportation study. It resulted in discussions between the mayor and other staff members with regard to Caltrans and how that might occur, discussions of funding. But it had to some degree faded away until the state senator's office started talking with us again. I provided them information on the background, but as they were able to go ahead and get more information, they asked whether it might better proceed in the 2021 fiscal year, or excuse me, the 21-22 fiscal year, I think. And I indicated that I thought that it would be a good idea for that relinquishment bill to proceed, because I thought that would provide additional impetus for Caltrans to be able to go ahead and do additional things, such as finish up the shop project and the like. I haven't heard any news back from them, but it doesn't seem to be any coincidence that they contacted us, though I didn't hear any specific reasons why the city of Madera came to mind. So I think long story short is there's more happening out there with regard to relinquishment than there was before, but there's no guarantee unless we keep up with this, and Caltrans is keeping up with it as a project. The state Senate seems to be thinking about it, so I think we have better potential. That's my long discussion moving into, do you have any questions for me? I'll try to answer them best as I can. I haven't been the direct person with regard to relinquishment. I just happen to be one of the people who knows a little bit about it.
Well, thank you, Keith. This is really helpful because when we were doing visioning and community input 3 years ago for this project, everybody talked about Main Street, the street itself. Everybody talked about having pop-out places and more lighting and safe walking places and all of that. And so you know, if we don't keep this at the core of the conversation, then I think there's a whole lot that we're never going to be able to do. The street itself seems to be a huge issue. Any questions for Keith, Councilman Gallegos?
I don't have any questions. Just a
Keith,
couple.
for coming in and sharing that with the council.
Pleasure.
And I know you need to go, so thank you very much because you have some reports due in 15 minutes. So thank you.
No, thank you. You all have a very good evening. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Keith. Good to see you. Mr. Wieland?
I agree that Yosemite needs to be at the core of the discussion, but I don't think that core should drown out the rest of the discussion. Historically, meaning the last 5 years or so, this Arts Authority, even prior to its unofficial work-together groups with the Arts Council, the school district, city, county, work together with the projects that have gotten us to what we've been talking about now. And as Keith said, the project for Yosemite is off and on. Longer than 20 years, I recall the conference going on. Which gets to my point, which is I see that what we're doing, the Arts Authority, is being broader than some of our limited discussions. Yes, we're looking at what our papers say we're supposed to focus on arts for the county, and that include structure of, since that's all part of what he's talking about. Improving downtown Madera, and if the school district wants administrative office down, and if the city at some point also wants, I can see sort of all one large project. It may not happen in 2 or 3 year span, but the state worked with the city of Madera. Madera worked with the state to provide the land for the new state courthouse 2 blocks south of us, plus city provided parking garage. So there's room south of Yosemite, whether it's that corridor, state courthouse down to Ford, or on South Gateway, one of the streets above or below Avenue, Madera, along with this together talking about.
Excuse me, Mr. Whelan, could you talk a little more into the microphone? I'm having a little trouble hearing.
I'm just saying that this Arts Authority is a great opportunity for us to do what I think we'd all like the public entities to be able to do, which is work together to make it affordable, or at least more affordable for the school district to have an administrative office downtown, and for the city to have a new city hall, regardless of whether they take place at the same time as any structure the Arts Authority may present to downtown Madera for the benefit of the entire county. But I think at least in the planning, we all could be talking as a group and encouraging other people in the community to work towards the same goal. So I do regard Yosemite Avenue, as Keith was discussing, as the core, certainly for what the city is doing, but I don't think it's should be the only focus. I think we can look above Yosemite, below Yosemite, and down the street from South G Street where the courthouse is, and below that to where the new district attorney and probation office will be, down towards Madera Ford if necessary. So there are plenty of opportunities for the public entities to work together and make it as affordable as possible for all of us to do what I think we all want to do. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Other thoughts?
Julie, this is something that I had a chance to talk to you about, but we've talked about capital improvements and structures and things of that sort, which are very, very important, and they're part of the solution. And we also need to look at, in addition to that, as far as, what type of cultural arts, or there would be a cultural arts center, cultural arts, performing arts, or, whatever that might be. We really need to think about, it's for the county, but realistically, who is it that is going to be attending things in downtown Madera? And it's probably not going to be maybe a lot of people from, say, Oakhurst or North Fork. They may continue down Highway 41 to something in Fresno, and it's probably not going to be a lot of people from the newer developments. But so I think that we really need to think about the city of Madera, the city of Chowchilla. Who is it that lives here, and what are the things that appeal to our demographic trends and the type of art. We have a very, very young community. If you look at the average age of the city of Madera, I'm not so sure about Chowchilla, maybe it's similar, but if you look at it compared to other communities, we're very, very young. We are in people associated with the school district. I mean, they're very aware of that because we need to build new schools, new high schools, and we wouldn't have to do that if we were kind of on the downtrend in terms of our age demographics. So I think that we need to keep in mind, I know that a lot of the folks that have been involved in this planning from the beginning, it's been very, very necessary, but they've kind of been on the, say, more mature side of things. And I think that we really need to, again, take a look at, who is it that's growing up here right now? Who is it that are raising young families and that are going to be here for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years? And, and think about those types of arts opportunities. What is it? And I know a lot of people have taken these surveys, have been people, again, who are very, very engaged in this type of thing. But, are they going to be around in 20 to 30 years to take advantage of the things that we're planning today? So I think it's something that we can take a look, again, at those trends. There's a tsunami coming, so why don't we ride that tsunami than trying to stop it and make it something that it's not in terms of what people want to see. If there was a college nearby in downtown, that always seems to help. Reedley just built or is going to be building a $30 million performing arts center on their college campus as part of that Measure C. Well, we spent our money for Measure C to make Madera Community a community college, which is wonderful. But so that there's not that opportunity. Is there an existing night scene here in downtown Madera? What is the arts and music culture that is popular today? And so I think there's some real opportunities out there, but I think that we should take a look at ramping up something that we are, not trying to create something that we're not. I think that we can take advantage of some of the unique, again, population trends, the youth in the community, and really make something of it. So I think we need to think outside the box rather than trying to become a tower district or something like that. So, and we may need to, that's where I think that perhaps the consultants can help us out. And again, I think that these capital projects we're looking at, street improvements, they're all important, they're all necessary so that we can do the things we need to do. But what are those things once those improvements come that are really going to create this arts type of atmosphere? Thank you.
I can look at two ready groups of people who might know some of the people that we need to talk to. one being the city council people and who they represent, and the other being the school district people and the thousands of parents that they have and high school kids who might be coming back into Madera after college. Are there ways we can tap into them or bring them on board with us? Maybe we should be thinking about that.
Well, we also need to focus on those kids who will not be leaving Madera to go to college. They're important to us too.
Yes.
We got to have jobs.
Absolutely.
Industrial base. How do you market Madera and bring businesses to invest in Madera?
The Madera Evening Lions Group also has our Omegas, and those are the college kids that aren't old enough to be in Madera Evening Lions, but they're too old to be in the Leos, and they have formed their own club. So we have those college kids and adults in that avenue. We needed some input from them.
Is that young professional organization still active? Madera Young Professional?
I think so. I haven't seen them do anything lately, but again, nobody's really doing anything the last 6 months.
How much city and the county doing to bring business Bay Area into their area? If high-speed railroad makes it, what community coming this way and going back there? That everybody trying to go to the Bay Area for jobs? But then, how big do we want Madera to be? We want to improve the average income. So how do we look?
I had trouble hearing everything you said, Ray, but I think you were talking about what businesses will look for if we want to attract industry and business to come into Madera that will attract the workers of the future. Is that what you were saying?
Well, we're working on that, the district. That's all the different pathways, like 27 different pathways. Nursing, construction, culinary. I mean, there's just a lot of pathways where kids will be job ready. To do a new industry. But that needs to be marketed. And the city and the county, I think, needs to market that. And also how we plan out our town. There's some bare areas in Madera that can't be just ignored. Between Avenue 17 and Yosemite, it needs to be improved. Next to our new high school, I mean, what are we going to do there? There's a lot of areas where there's no homes and it doesn't look good. How are we going to improve that area? Make Madera look more attractive.
Great. Okay, it's getting to be 5 o'clock. Is there a direction someone wants to suggest for our next steps?
Well, are we going to hire a consultant, or are we going to kick the can down the road to see how where the pandemic takes us? I thought that's why we would be here today.
Same question.
Madam Chairperson, I would suggest that we maybe form an ad hoc committee and sit down with QK or whoever the folks were that provided that that proposal and talk to them just, across the table and talk about what we've been going over and maybe get their suggestions and give them our ideas, and then they can maybe provide some advice as saying, okay, we can provide some direction in this particular way and either stand by the proposal they prepared or prepare a revised proposal and That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Any other thoughts about that?
Well, I'm okay if somebody wants to call and ask if there needs to be a change in the proposal given the pandemic. But if we do that, then we're just kicking the can down the road, and I'm not criticizing that. It may be the most viable option we have at this point in time.
I don't think that now's a good time to be going on survey. Things kind of settle down. A lot of unknowns, right?
I'd ask you like what, but you'd say, I don't know, and that's one of the unknowns, right?
Well, it certainly doesn't hurt us to do a couple of things. One is to talk to the QK people and say, kind of, this is where we are right now, and maybe, should we still be going in this direction? Should we be rethinking a bit what our needs are right now and the way we look at things? So that doesn't cost us anything. But I also think that we should be actively pursuing some voice from the community if we want to sharpen what it is we're wanting to do. A QK talked about helping us with that. So it could be that we talk to them and then they might have some idea for how that would get organized.
Right.
How about rethinking things a little bit where the county or the city and all of us building everything, that we encourage private industry to come in and build the facilities, conference centers,
right.
They do weddings, things. They do it with money, and they can manage it, and we just make the property available.
5 o'clock. We're done. So is the chief of staff. He's texting me right now. It's like, this meeting's killing me.
I think Mr. Seibert has something very well worth pursuing here too. And that is, and I think our consultant in a chat with him might be able to help us a little bit with that, because there is lots of private partnerships that could fund and run something. And then we ought to be looking at that. Are we done?
I think so.
Everybody looks frozen there.
I just heard a bunch of pins drop.
No, that was my mic as I'm leaving the room.
Okay, the other kind of comment related to Mr. Poitras and Mr. Seibert and the rest of you is that if we looked at having, there are other places that have used the arts in their city centers. And it might be worth us doing a little research on what they've learned and use communities like our own to see what they've learned and what they've done and how they've used a public and public-private partnerships in their communities. So
Right.
we could do a little research.
I like that.
So who's going to call the gentleman who was here to make the proposal and ask if he needs to make any changes and under the circumstances, and what his thoughts in general are given our interesting times?
Okay. So Mr. Salinas would help us with that, wouldn't he?
He's nodding his head and putting his thumb up. I take that as an affirmative response.
He's very pleased with that opportunity.
Is there one of you that would like to be an active partner in having these discussions?
Yeah, I have time, apparently.
Okay. Is there another person that wants to? If we have two, then if we have three, we have to have a board meeting. So
Well, I think is if you and an ad hoc committee. I'm sorry.
Chair, I thought we had already, or this board had already created an ad hoc committee for this purpose. Can't recall who's on that committee, so those would be.
There were three of us on a committee, Mr. Poitras, Mr. Seibert, and myself, but I'm not sure that it was as narrowly defined as what we're talking about now.
And it's not an ad hoc committee if it's a majority of the
Right.
board. So,
That-
yeah.
Mhm.
So,
I'll work with Nick and gentleman in question, and it'll just be informal conversation. We'll get back with what his suggestions might be at the next.
Okay.
cool. Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other member staff reports?
No.
Our next scheduled meeting is August 27th, which is the fourth Monday of August. Mr. Whelan, do you think that you and Nick might have an update for us at that time?
Absolutely.
Or do you want to wait until September?
No. August 27th.
Okay.
That day too.
Okay. So our next meeting will be August 27th. By then, we might have some information that we've learned at the city council meeting. But somebody else may have some thoughts to bring to the table. Okay, well, thank you all.
24th.
And
24th, because 25th is a Tuesday.
Yeah, I think it's August 24th.
oh,
24th.
Yeah, Tuesday.
24?
Yeah, that's a Monday.
Mhm.
Okay.
Now you know
Okay.
why I said we could get it done by August 27th.
Sorry about that. Yeah, that would be August 24th. Okay, great. Then if there's nothing else, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming,
Thank you.
and, stay safe out there.
All right. Thank you, Chairperson.
Bye, everyone.
See y'all.